Hello class, today what we're going to be doing is going over the arrays program line by line code. So I'm literally going to go from the top all the way to the bottom of this. We're actually using arrays 6th Java file, which I'll also post on there. So this gets it so we can do the random numbers. This creates the class called arrays 6th and makes it a public class. Then we create our main. I'm declaring an array, an integer array of name nums with 7 values that it contain. Now these positions are from 0 to 6. 6 because 7 minus 1 because we're including 0. So if we count to 7 positions, we're going 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7 numbers with the last number being array position 6. I then create a counter variable which is of type int, and I set it equal to 4. So this is my initial value that I'm declaring for the first value of the array. If I didn't want to do this, what I could do is, so this takes sum, and this is 4, so I'm assigning 4 to array position 0, and then I'm adding 4 to sum, and then adding 4, so this would be then 8 to array position 1. If I want to do it a different way, I could undeclare this, say array position 0 equals 4. My first array position that I would change would be array position 1, and then instead of using sum in this line completely, I don't need anymore, I could just say num sub I minus 1. It's the previous array position plus 4, because then I would be adding 4 to the previous one, and it'd be the same exact thing. The other way I can do this is, instead of doing, so I wouldn't need sum here, instead of using the previous value, I still need to assign 4 to the first one. And then I can say that, well, if I is 0, that means I is 1 when it should be 8. So if I just add 4 to the value I times 4, this would give me 8 for array position 1. Every time I increase I add 4. This would probably be the fastest way to do this loop. And then what we're doing is, if we were to uncomment this out, the issue we'd have here is we would never output array position 0 because array position 0 is statically assigned. We start at I equals 1. So the first value we print out is num sub 1, which is the second value. So in order to fix this, what we do is we use an advanced for loop, which uses a little colon in the middle, which means for every value in nums, assign that value to my value, and then operate the loop. When we operate the loop, we're using the print to print out my value, and then add a space, so we have a horizontal line. If I want to make this a vertical line, I would take this same exact line of code, change this to vertical, and then instead of print, I would do print line, and if I do print line, I no longer need the space, because I could have the space at the end, but it won't do anything except mess everything up. Now this I don't need, but I can put just in case. It allows me to track where I'm done. So first one done, I could put, because then I know, okay, well, I got the first one done. Now let's go on the next one. So the next one, I did addition here. Now I'm going to do subtraction, which means let's start with I create a variable fish of size 5, and let's start off with 100, and then we'll decrease by 5. So I can say fish, so the negative value I'm going to decrease by 5. This would be the same way up here, almost. I could then also say, well, I'll start with fish equals this, and then I'm going to subtract fish minus, instead of fish, I'm just going to start with 100 minus the quantity I times 5. And then I don't even need this, and then I can assign all values this way, because if I is 0, this is 0, and then it's just 100. If I didn't want to do it this way and I wanted to use this static assignment, I can go back and say, well, fish sub I minus 1 minus 5. If I wanted to use sum, I could say fish sub I equals sum equals 100, and sum minus 5. All these are the same exact ways. Again, so it's 3 different ways to do subtraction, and then again, we're just outputting this array. Please realize we're changing the array name every time because we have different sizes, and it's just easier to create a new array than to use the redeclare the array of a different size, which I don't think you can do with primitive variable types of arrays. And the next one, what we're doing here is we are creating an array of size 10 of type int, and we know it's an array, named One Direction. So One Direction has the first 4 positions with these values. I'm going to simplify this to make it 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? One Direction. Because we took care of the array position 0, 1, 2, 3, the next array position would be 4, and that's why I equals 4. Because we already statically assigned all these. So in order to get this one, what we're doing is we're using previous values. So what I want you to take a look at is these commented out values right here, which you'll probably need. If I want to do num sub minus 1, what I would do is I would take the previous value, which is num sub I minus 1, and I would copy it up here. And instead of nums, it's just going one direction because it's the name of the array. And I want to add that to the previous value. So num sub I minus 2. This is the previous value. And again, I need to change nums to one direction. And then I also want to take, I can't do the next value because I would have to go in the inverse direction. So I also want to take the third previous. So I'm going to copy this. And just like this is the first, second previous value, this is going to be the third previous value. And I'm adding them all up. Let's change it up and let's subtract. Now we realize we only need the 3 previous values, so we actually do not need this one anymore, so I can delete this and change this to 3. And then what it would be is we would say 6 plus 4 minus 2 is 10, minus 2 is 8, so the next value is 8. Wow, that actually adds up by 2 every time. And then I output using my advanced for loop, because this goes through all the array positions, not just the ones after 3. Then what we have is a way to change let's do every 3 values. Well, let's keep it at 2. So what this means is every other time I'm doing something else. So I create an array of type int, names potato of size 10. Let's make it size 20. I'm statically assigning the first 2 numbers. And what this is doing is it's saying, well, if I is even, that means if the array position is even, not the value is even, because this is even, this is odd, because this is odd and this is even. So in the second array position, that means it's even. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the two values before this value, which is 1, and adding 1, so that's how I get the 2. If it's the next one where I equals 3, I'm going down to this else and saying potato sub I equals 1. And then I'm saying this weird formula, which means z is half of I. So right now I is 3. 3 divided by 2 is 1 because we truncate the decimal. If z is greater than 1, then we want to do this loop where we take this and multiply by 10, which that's how we get the 10, 100,000, 10,000. Because every time it's more divisible by 2, we're increasing it by a factor of 10. And then we output all the values again. And that's pretty much it. It's actually a pretty simple program because please realize anytime it's even, I do this. Anytime it's odd, I do the other thing. And this literally can be anything I want. So if I wanted to say potato sub I equals 9999, and then this could also be anything where I'm taking, well, let's take the previous value, not just the second previous value. And then let's say this takes the second previous value and adds 99 to it. And then we compile and run this. And as you can see, we have numbers that jump up huge really, really quickly, and we're adding by 99 every time. So the last value goes down. On the odd array positions and on the even array positions, we just add 1. And that's pretty much it. We have all the other arrays. Have a good one. I will see you later.